latest terminology out here, crash out. Yeah, when you crash out, basically you just lose it, or as per mentioned back in the day and still now, having a nervous breakdown. So, yeah, that's crashing out. I liked what Lil Woody said. He said about not trying to have crash dummies around him because he's trying to live a better life, right? So, you don't want people that's constantly prone to crashing around you. Yes, prone to crashing around you, hence the crash dummy part. You want people that kind of know where they're going or want to get going, right? Just people that are navigating out here, not people just running aimlessly and living recklessly. So, in regards to just all things concerning relationships, things of that such, the opposite of crashing out is compatibility. How? How, Sway? In this case, how, Ray? How so? Let me tell you. But you don't have all the answers, Ray. I didn't say I had all the answers, but I think I got an answer to this particular conversation we're having right now. Like, okay, compatibility, what does that have to do with crash out? Well, think about this. When you what? Meet somebody, right? You what? Run into them sometimes, right? A lot of times, or we could even just say it in general, right? Well, that's like crossing the intersection. You two come from different paths. Sometimes y'all could be parallel, but if you're crashing out, then that becomes a side swipe, right? That could sometimes become a T-bone too, but that's like, how does that happen? It happens though. Hey, I've seen it all, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have too. So, um, but usually, even in the traffic world, just driving your car, you just hoping you run into people without crashing. You might see a nice car. You might see a nice looking person. You might see a nice place. And yeah, you drove by that. There was an intersection there, or there was a parallel motion taking place to where you can look to your side, admire what you're looking at, keep it moving. You leave that scenery unscathed. So, in essence, compatibility actually works the same way. A lot of times, though, we just end up crashing out when we meet each other. Sometimes this takes time to happen. Yes, sometimes this takes time to happen. Maybe upon several what meetups, but then there was the particular meetup where y'all just end up crashing out. So that just shows that y'all weren't that compatible. Because when you're compatible, you don't crash out with each other. Y'all continue to meet up with each other. So nice to meet you. So meeting up with each other is always nice. So what happened? Why does this crash out happen? So there could be some reasons for that, right? There could be this thing of what I call a false charge, what you thought as far as what a person was willing to take on, because I talk about these connections. Through the connection is the understanding. So something happened when something is what plugged in, if you will. I'm not going to go into too deep conversation of that, but sometimes when you plug in something, it can't fully take the charge, so you end up seeing a surge of energy that takes place, and hence the thing crashes, right? It burns a circuit, it overloads, boom, there you go. So you might get that with some people. You what find out what they're truly made of. You find out in essence who they really are. So even in the world of, let's say, the notion of just driving, you end up crashing into someone, sometimes maybe the same person that you met at that intersection of traffic over the weeks, over the months, over the years. But that one day, they had a bad day. Or on that one day, you found out they were not that good driver you thought they were. So as time goes on, you'll find out more about your compatibility with somebody. Unfortunately, that's just the way life is. You would think you should be able to know this with a person firsthand. No, every time we get out here getting around someone, there's a risk that you take. But I believe as time goes on, once you see the compatibility you have with the person, that's when things start to truly fully blossom. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing. And that person obviously has a heart of gold, right? And what y'all have is golden. But sometimes with some people, they will end up crashing out on you for whatever reason. You thought you were compatible with that person. And I've always liked to say, also, compatibility is not about matching, like finding the perfect match. Compatibility is about matching up. And over time, you get to see that upon things what taking charge, upon you seeing the energy in the exchange taking place between you two. You get to see how what you two match up. So either the person that you are around will continue to match up with you, or there's going to be a potential crash out that will take place. So for the man, since I'm heterosexually speaking, for the man, it's all about what he puts out there, puts forth for her. And for the woman, it's all about her receiving as well as reciprocating, right? So there's sort of like this dual function for the feminine. For the masculine, it's more or less about his input. But this continues on, hence the compatibility. When this doesn't continue on, hence the crash out. So depending on how certain people meet doesn't always determine how they'll end up. These are just things that you find out over time. But a lot of times, the crashing out can sort of make you dive more into how did the two actually meet. So this gets deep. And I just wanted y'all to keep this in mind. And thanks a million for stopping by.